Let's talk about what's going on in Japan, the nuclear situation, because, ladies and gentlemen, it is, to say it's scary is an understatement. And we are now seeing radiation detected at U.S. airports, Lewis. And where were those passengers coming from?
Tokyo.
They were coming from Tokyo. Radiation detectors at Dallas-Fort Worth and Chicago O'Hare were triggered when passengers from flights that started in Tokyo passed through customs, according to the New York Post. Coincidence? I don't think so. I think we're seeing a problem here, Lewis. Also, if there was a big commercial plane crash, would you the next day think it reasonable to start reducing restrictions on airplane safety? Would you say airline safety measures need to be toned down? I certainly wouldn't. But a few weeks ago, House Republicans did not blink an eye when they enacted hundreds of millions of dollars in cuts to programs that safeguard nuclear waste, research nuclear power, train first responders to respond to weapons of mass destruction and to nuclear meltdowns. On Monday, House Democrats, including the House Energy and Commerce Committee's ranking member Henry Waxman, called to hold the hearings on the state of government nuclear oversight based on what's happening in Japan. It's the right move, but Lewis, it is embarrassing that it takes a huge nuclear disaster like what we're seeing in Japan to make politicians second guess whether we need even less oversight. That's the debate. Do we need under the guise of cutting, under the guise of not being overly intrusive, we're going to have less oversight on nuclear power?
And it sounds exactly what it sounds like. You'd think it'd be the opposite, but cuts, yeah.
And it's the Union of Concerned Scientists' last major report on nuclear safety, which is from 2007, found that enforcement of existing safety regulations was lax at best, and that security standards at nuclear facilities were inadequate to defend against credible threats. So again, Lewis, like Richard Clarke's letter, Al-Qaeda poised to attack in August of 2001. It's not that we had no idea. We're hearing about this now. This proposal would cut $131 million from the Department of Energy's Office of Nuclear Energy. Barely a word about this in the mainstream corporate media. 24/7 wall-to-wall coverage on Japan. You've got Anderson Cooper out there. You've got everybody out in Japan talking about how much radiation do you need, iodide tablets, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, Republicans are trying to reduce restrictions and safety regulations on nuclear power plants. Incredible. And experts have long criticized the potential weakness in the design of the reactor that was stricken in Japan. This as far back as 1972, Lewis. Can you imagine? 40 years almost.
Sounds like Japan has some of the same problems we have here.
Well, this is my understanding is that this is a Mark I nuclear reactor, and that this is not used exclusively in Japan, but that since 1972 it was said if the cooling system ever fails, the primary containment vessel surrounding the reactor would probably burst. Dangerous radiation would spew into the environment. Again, for all we hear about, this is just, it's all safe. We know everything about it. 1972, ladies and gentlemen. And now we're seeing radiation detected at U.S. airports.